Hey, Shalom, Mr. Brother Baya. Back here again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Chachadash. Double honor to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Topic I want to go into is that we must learn to fall in love with self-control, disciplining ourselves. Not being taken over by excess or, gluttony or greed, being content. We must fall in love with having control over our mind and disciplining ourselves. All right. Something I want to pull up first is, the KJV Dictionary of Excess. And it goes into, it says, literally, that which exceeds any measure or limit, or which exceeds something else, or a going beyond a just line or point. Hence, superfluity, that which is beyond necessity or wants, as an excess of provisions, excess of light. And the scriptures speak about superfluity. Let's get superfluity. James chapter 1, verse 21. It says, wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. Scriptures tell the lost Israelites that were following after Gentile ways, know that ye were Gentiles, being carried away with idols. So now you receive the engrafted word because you grafted back into your nation, all right? The covenant, all right, that the Lord gave to the children of Israel. But yeah, you want to lay apart all filthiness and superfluity. These people, they abide in excess, all right? Never knowing when enough is enough, never knowing when to stop, never knowing when to control their desires. And that can entail a lot of things. That can entail food, alcohol, sex, money, power, anything, that will fill up a man's, desires and wants and lusts. The average person, they don't know when to stop. They don't know when to abide in moderation. They don't know when to cease from wanting more. And that's the problem you have with Esau. Scriptures speak about how his soul is insatiable. All right. He cannot be satisfied. Habakkuk, he feels his desire as hell. He wants to heap unto him all people. He never has enough. And so is the ruler. So as the ruler, so are the people. And you got these people, man, they live in excess. They live in always wanting more. You're always going to have a better looking car. You're always going to have, women that you think look better than the woman you got. You're always going to have newer clothes. You're always going to have new things, all right? But you have to learn when to be content. You have to learn when enough is enough. You have to learn when to say, okay, even though I have the means or the access to get more of the things I desire, I don't need it. It's not a necessity. If you continue to do it, now you're living a life of superfluity. And that's why you see guys like Floyd Mayweather, all right? Floyd Mayweather's about to fight Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather's about to fight another exhibition fight before he fights Manny Pacquiao. They say he's in a lot of legal trouble, back taxes and owing a lot of different companies. Whatever the case may be, he lived a life of superfluity. If he had wisdom, which just because a man has a lot of money doesn't mean he's wise. You give a fool a lot of money and access, he'll destroy himself. All right? So you don't want to live like that because, we right now, most of us, we live paycheck to paycheck. But even, a lot of us you may get a little extra coins from one of your paychecks and be able to, splurge a little bit on the things that you like to do. And then, sometimes you may leave yourself broke. Well, that's because you went overboard. Superfluity, no self-control. You lack restraint. All right, you lack temperance. You allowed yourself to just be overcome with excess and wanting more just because you are able to get it. But was it wise in the long run? Hell no. So you don't want to live a life of excess. You want to live a life of moderation. Even if you have the money and the means and the access to get more, doesn't necessarily mean that you need more. Let's go to the second definition of excess. It says, that which is beyond the common measure, proportion, or due quantity, as the excess of a limb, the excess of bile in the system. 3, superabundance of anything, or any transgression of due limits. Yeah, you can be excess and transgressions, but that goes into self-control, like not knowing how to control yourself. All right. 5, in morals, any indulgence of appetite, passion, or exertion beyond the rules of the Most High's words, or beyond any rule of propriety, and temperance and gratifications. Yeah, no self-control in things that gratify you. Women may gratify you, but if you got one woman, you may have something on the side you're dealing with that you like. There's always going to be another beautiful woman. There's always going to be something more intriguing to the eye. Look, man, don't do it to yourself, because the scriptures even tell you, not only when you get a woman, you got one foot in the world, but you got to be able to have money to be with a woman, all right? Women require, time, and you would spend money on them. That's just what it is. So you want all these women, well, guess what? That means you spending more and more of the coins that you work hard to get. All right? So just because something is gratifying doesn't mean you have to have it in excess or, let it control you. Because it comforts you. Well, guess what? The scriptures and the word is supposed to be the ultimate comforter. All right? You're not supposed to have any outside crutches, outside of the scriptures, outside of the word, man. So, continue. It says, as excess in eating or drinking, excess of joy, excess of grief, excess of love, or anger, excess of labor. Yeah, too much work can kill you too. Excess of anything is not good for you, not healthy for you. All right, you want to live a life of moderation. All right, you get superfluity, because I read about superfluity, and even though we kind of went into the definition of excess, it says an excess in number or quantity, condition of having more than enough, extravagance, in moderation. See, that's the point I wanted there. In moderation. You want to live a life of moderation, moderately. Okay, moderately. Sirach. Let's get Sirach. Sirach teaches about having self-control. All right, Sirach, 18th chapter, starting at verse 30. You can read in the GNT, you can read in the KJV. Let me get in the KJV first, man. Bear with me one moment. Sirach 18 and 30 says, don't be controlled by your lusts. I'm sorry, I'm still in the GNT. Bear with me one moment, because I want to keep that GNT version up. Was it Sirach 18? Okay, Sirach 18 and 30, right? It says, go not after thy lusts, but refrain thyself from thine appetites. Right? You're going to have a lot of appetites. You're going to have a lot of things that you desire. A lot of things that you want in this life. A lot of things that's appeasing to the eye, especially the fleshly carnal eye. You know, a lot of things that the flesh wants. You're always going to have shit that you're always going to have things that the flesh wants. But you got to know when to say no. All right? You got to know when to stop. You got to know when enough is enough. You got to know when something is not beneficial to you in the long run. It may be gratifying and comforting in the moment, but how will it affect you in the long run? How will it affect your walk with your Lord? You know, you as a man trying to live according to the moral ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And if it would get in the way of that, then yeah, you need to refrain from that. Right? Verse 31. If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee. Yeah, whatever your mind desires, and fleshly mind desires, you give it to her at that moment. You know? And that's why you have wickedness that run rampant, because people are controlled by the flesh. So they may want something but don't have the means or the access to it. So they'll lie, cheat, steal, kill to get it. All right, they'll do whatever they have to do to obtain it. That's a beast-like nature. When you look at nature and you look at the beasts of the wild, the forest, the jungle, the desert, whatever, they do whatever necessary to get what they want. We're not supposed to live like that. All right, as Yasha'Allah, princes of the power, we're supposed to live a life of control. All right, controlled by the ways of our power, the laws, statutes, and commandments of our power. All right, and having the fruits of the Spirit on you, okay? Which temperance is one of those things. All right, let's continue reading. 32, it says, take not pleasure in much good cheer. That's that superfluity, that excess. Take not much pleasure in much good cheer, neither be tied to the expense thereof. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the point over there in Sirach. I can read it in the GNT too. Don't be controlled by your lust. Keep your passions in check. Yeah, keep your passions in check. All right. Keep your passions in check. You're going to have passions. You're going to have desires. You're going to have lust. Keep them in check. If you allow yourself to satisfy your every desire, you will be a joke to your enemies. Don't indulge in luxurious living. The expense of it will ruin you. There you go, man. You have to learn self-control, discipline, temperance. All right? You have to, man. You have to. Sirach 1 and 23. Read it in the KJV, and then I'm gonna read it in the GNT. Sirach 1, starting at Sirach 1 and 22. Yeah. Sirach 1 and 22. A furious man cannot be justified, for the sway of his fury shall be his destruction. A patient man will tarry for a time, and afterward joy shall spring up unto him. Yeah, so basically this goes into having self-control over your emotions. All right, when things aren't going your way, being impatient, being very impatient and not learning patience can cause you to destroy yourself too, or put yourself in worse situations. Right, a lot of times these people, they'll get in deadly car accidents or car accidents that hurts them financially just due to impatience. Just due to having impatience. Right, being very impatient, cutting each other off, zooming past each other, riding on each other's bumper just because. No control over their emotions. A nigga can grow up into a full-grown physical adult and still have childlike behaviors. All right. Scripture say, when I became a man, I put away childish things, but the only way to truly mature is through the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So a lot of these people that have jobs, careers, homes, vehicles, that we live upon, very childish, like very immature, lack self-control, lack discipline, man. They'll go to the casino and gamble their life away. They'll commit adultery. They'll live a life of excess, without any bounds of control. Right? These people you live around, they meet up and have swinger parties, letting my woman have sex with your woman, and I have sex with your woman. These are adults we're talking about here, man. So, if you don't learn these things that the Lord requires from a righteous man, you will find yourself amongst the wicked, waiting to be judged amongst the wicked. G&T, it says, Sirach, chapter 1, verse 21, there is no excuse for unjustified anger. It can bring about your downfall. Wait and be patient, and later you will be glad you did. There you go. A lot of times you see people destroyed because of unjustified anger. That can go both ways. You putting yourself in a situation to get killed or get harmed, or you so mad that you go harm somebody else or put yourself in a dangerous situation. Now you locked up, all right? Your life thrown away. So, yeah, man. Self-control and temperance is the key. Let's get the scripture on temperance. Galatians chapter 5. I believe this goes into the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians chapter 5, verse 17, it says, for the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. All right, so you're going to always have that battle of spirit and the flesh, disagreeing. Flesh wanting one thing, spirit wanting another. The flesh desiring one thing, the spirit knowing what you need and what you have necessity of. All right. Flesh don't give a fuck about what you need. It only gives a fuck about what you want. Verse 18, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness, which goes into uncontrollable lust. All right. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like. And you see that all these people, they go to Mardi Gras and Carnival and all these parades and festivals and parties, and you see these things. All right. This is what they spend their money on. Of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. But here's the fruit of the spirits that we need to adopt, starting in verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Long-suffering, patience. The Lord wants us to learn patience. That's why he has his sons in captivity. All right? Princes of power in captivity. The sons of Yashala in captivity. Verse 23, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. So there goes your meekness, and there goes your self-control, man. So you have to fall in love with learning these things, man. It's for your betterment. All right, and and like with anything, with repetition, doing it day in and day out, it'll become part of your routine. You may kind of despise it at first because you have to deny your wants, You know, not every want, but, you know, excess of wants. You have to deny the, you know, things that you wouldn't normally deny because you're growing. You know, you're a child, you're a babe. You come into this truth as a babe. You got to discipline yourself. All right? So you may despise it at first, but as you make it a part of your routine, it's just like when you first go to the gym, you know, your first workout, you sore as shit, but you got to get up early every morning and first force yourself to the gym. You may despise it at first, but eventually you'll grow to love it. Well, that's what this lesson is based upon. Grow to love self-control and disciplining yourself, all right? One more I wanted to get. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Let's see where we at with this. Okay. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 9, straight to the point, verse 27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. All right, having control, self-control, discipline. Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So you can't teach rebuke and correction to others and you're not correcting and rebuking yourself. All right, and aligning yourself with discipline and self-control. So, you know, that was the basis of this lesson.